right, shall we welcome everybody to the City Council Committee of the Whole meeting of January 24th, 2024. June 24th, 2024. If the clerk will help me out with the roll call at the very least.
Albertini,
Here.
Brereton,
Here.
Fleury,
Here.
Frank,
Here.
Freeman,
Here.
Gramkowski,
Here.
McGee,
Here.
Mulhall. Mulhall's absent. Snow,
Here.
Stevens,
Here.
9 present.
Thank you. I don't believe we have anybody registered under public comment. The only thing that I would remind the council is we have Heritage Days weekend, Friday and Saturday, 28th, 29th, downtown and off-site. The parade starts out at 5 p.m. I think you've received some information regarding some of the other activities. And then a rain delay date for Saturday's events will be Sunday. I think we are going to have a flyover. Poplar Grove Airport did that several years ago, and it's my understanding that'll start the parade off as well. So anyhow, if you can make it, that'd be great. All right, and also under public forum, moving on, we have none. Flipping the page, reports of officers, boards, and special committees, public safety, unfinished business, we have none. Item 2, public safety, new business. Item A, police department update. Chief Woody, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. The only update I'll have this evening is just to inform you that last Thursday we had the swearing in for Sergeant Byrd to Deputy Chief, and Officer Shook to Sergeant, and then we had a retirement ceremony for Deputy Chief Wallace on Friday after 27 years with the police department. He's moving to bigger and brighter skies in Florida, so wish him the best of luck. Wanted to thank all of the aldermen that were able to make the ceremonies. It was much appreciated. Officers expressed their appreciation for seeing you there. In terms of department personnel, we have 1 officer on long-term medical, 2 in the FTO program, 1 officer on leave with the Army National Guard until February of 2025. And then with the retirement of DC Wallace, we'll need to fill 2 open positions. That will conclude my update, and I'll take any questions that you may have.
Anybody have any questions for Chief Woody? Okay, Chief, congratulations to DC Wallace, obviously, and also congratulations are in order for DC Byrd coming in to take his place, and Matt Shook as sergeant. So congratulations to all of them. It was a nice time. Thank you. Also, item B, Police Department acceptance of donation in your packet from Chief Woody. Is a memo dated June 20th of 2024. Motion to accept the donation. Chief Woody.
Thank you again, Mayor. If you would turn to the memo in your packet. The Belvedere Police Department has received an unsolicited donation in the amount of $10,000 from a donor who wishes to remain anonymous. This donor has donated in the past. The mayor is aware of the identity of the donor. The department does have a couple of initiatives to use this donation for, and depending on some grants that we have written for and their ultimate outcome will dictate which direction we end up using these funds. I would request a motion to accept this donation of $10,000 from an anonymous donor to be used for a purchase to be determined at a later date.
Okay. If I could get a motion to that effect. Motion by Alderwoman Gramkowski, second by Alderman Fleury. Any questions, any comments regarding the motion on the floor? Alderman Fleury.
I could just comment. Just please express our gratitude for this generous donation from that citizen. Appreciate it.
I'll pass that along. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? Motion passed, thank you. Item C, in your packet as well, there's a memo from Chief Woody regarding the approval to purchase 47 Motorola APX N70 radios. Chief?
Thank you again, Mayor. Turn to the memo in your packet. The City of Belvedere was awarded funds through the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Grant on March 18th, 2024. The City Council accepted those funds earmarked in part for Motorola radios for the Belvedere Police Department. Police Department's requesting to purchase 47 Motorola APX N70 radios, batteries, chargers, hand mics, and service at a cost of $368,020.58. The department is requesting to use $367,717 awarded to the city for the purchase of the Motorola radios for the police department through the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Grant. The remaining $303.58 will be taken from the police department's miscellaneous fund line item. I would request a motion to approve the mayor to sign the contract authorizing the purchase of 47 Motorola APX N70 portable radio packages for $368,020.58 and authorize the use of $367,717 from the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Grant, with the remaining $303.58 to be taken from the police department's miscellaneous funds line item.
Okay, if I could have a motion to that effect, please. Motion by Alderman Stevens, second by Alderman Fleury. Any questions, any comments regarding the motion on the floor? I will say that Senator Stottleman, this was a grant that we had chatted about regarding community development and violence prevention. It was $1 million, the grant in total. We are going to redo parking lot 7, make improvements on parking lot 7. We also spent some of the money on barricades, and then, of course, the police department with the radios. So I thought that that was a generous offer, and I certainly took Senator Stottleman up on that. Grateful for all the help we could get. So, Alderman Snow?
So if you don't mind me asking, what does happen with the old radios, or do they come as backups or whatever?
I think they're going to use, I don't know, Chief, are you going to use those for any parts, or are you just going to get, are those just now defunct?
Well, currently, the county still has some of those radios, so they, like us up to this point, have kind of been cannibalizing radios from other departments that still have older radios. We will allow them to use our radios as needed. Otherwise, they'll sit in storage, potentially used for trainings, or if we do need radios down the line, that could be an option, but then you look at an associated activation cost, which may be cost prohibitive to using them long term. But if we have a major incident or crisis, could be an option.
Okay. All right, thank you. Alderwoman Freeman?
Thank you, Mayor. So, Chief, it seems like between you and Chief Shadle, we're constantly looking at radios and updating our radios and getting more radios. So with these 47, will that satisfy every radio need that you have? And for how long will these radios be in service, do you anticipate?
Yeah. Will it satisfy every radio need that we have? No, we're actually just a few radios shy. Unfortunately, when we put in the original request for the grant, we gave the state a specific figure, and then ultimately when the grant came through, the cost of the radios went up slightly. So we had to modify our request just by a few radios. Originally, the request was for 50. As you see here, we're able to purchase 47. 50 was a number that we were comfortable would not only give us a radio for each officer, but then have a couple of radios In addition to that, if we needed to use them for events or if down the road we had radios that malfunctioned or ended up needing to get repaired, we'd have a couple of additional radios. So there are a couple others that we may look at needing in the future. What was the next question?
Oh, how long would they last?
Service life is roughly anywhere between 5 and 10 years, according to Motorola. Now, we've experienced the ability to make that longer. The service life is when they ultimately stop making replacement parts for it. It doesn't mean you can't find parts through other means, but ultimately, that's the reason why we ended up needing to go to these radios, which are significantly more expensive than the 4000s that we started to transition to. But as we found out, we transitioned for a year for the last 4 years. Well, come to find out this year that those radios now are at the end of their service life. So we had to pivot and find another option for purchasing other radios. This came along. Purchasing all of them at the same time will allow us to outfit everybody. They'll have the same platform. We won't have different officers having different radios. And ultimately, it's being funded by a grant, which is a great thing.
Yeah, I agree. The grant funding is awesome. So are these radios like in the squads or are they on the person? So if they're not in the squads, then all our officers aren't on duty at the same time, right? So we would have enough anyway?
Yeah, these are officer-worn radios. We don't have any in-car mounted radios that we utilize for communication for dispatching purposes.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chief Woody? All right, we have a motion on the floor, essentially authorizing the purchase of 47 Motorola APX N70 radios for $368,020.58 and using the $367,717 grant from the DCEO grant, with the remainder coming out of the police department's miscellaneous funds line item. If there are no other questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed. Motion passed, thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Mayor, appreciate it.
Item D, Fire Department update. Chief Shadle, good evening.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. As for the fire department, in the last 30 days, we responded to 245 calls. Of those calls, 6 were fire-related, 184 were EMS and rescue-related, 8 hazardous conditions, 20 service calls, and 27 other calls, including false alarms. Of those calls, 149 of them were hospital transports. We transported 14 to Javon Bay, 58 to St. Anthony, 28 to UW Rockford, and 49 here in town to UW Belvedere. Just last night we had could have been a major fire due to quick response and working fire alarms. We were notified about 9 o'clock last night that there was a fire inside of R&D Theo. So crews were able to locate it and knock it down rather quickly. Due to the nature of that business, there's a lot of sawdust involved, and so it ended up taking a little bit of time just to locate and make sure that all the embers were out, but I believe they were back producing today, so limited damage there. This is good news. In your packets, you guys have the FY24 annual report for the fire department. Instead of going over it all, it would be rather lengthy, so I provided it for you. If you guys ever have any questions on any of that, you can let me know or give me a call. I also posted it for anybody that's listening on our website, on the fire department, on the front page of the website, and they can see it in its entirety there. So Miss Gilman did a wonderful job on that. She's the one who did all the formatting, and Alderman Albertini asked if we had a media company help with that, and that was no, it was Miss Gilman. She did a great job. Has all the data from the year, types of calls, and everything that happened last year. As far as testing, our application period and testing ends this Sunday, June 30th. As of this afternoon, we have 50 applicants, 37 tests taken, and 3 more that are scheduled, which will yield probably 40 on our list, which is good. Much better than 17 2 years ago, so things are turning around. As far as EMS billing, we've had potentially some success in connecting with Medicaid and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Those were over 400 transports that were not billed or paid for yet. The connections are made. Blue Cross Blue Shield said that they would be allow us to submit all claims all the way through May of 23, so there's no issues there. Medicaid's, or our billing company, got a receipt that Medicaid paid us $163,000. Unfortunately, it hasn't hit our bank account, and we're all working extremely hard to figure out where that is. So, as far as inspections, we weren't unable to get everything ready for tonight for the code update. There's quite a bit that goes into that. Firefighter Beck and Inspector Wittig have put in a lot of hours, and if you guys saw the code books that I carried in, those are the codes that we're moving to. So, coordinating with the building department, I hope either the next committee meeting or the one after that, we're able to present that to you. If Attorney Drella, it's in our legal department right now for review. As far as communications, yep, we also received the grant for the radios. We're working on code plugs and getting those to Motorola to be programmed. The real enhancement in communications won't happen until our gateway happens, and that equipment for that is still on back order. So I will give you an update on that, and that will conclude my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
If anybody has any questions for Chief Shadle? All right, hearing none, thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. And item E, we have in the packet an application for Belvedere Parade permit, that being on September 14th, Saturday, September 14th, 2024. The event will start and terminate start at 2, go to 3 p.m. It will begin, route to be traveled will be a municipal parking lot 5 onto Main Street heading north and ending at East Marshall Street. That event probably will be somewhere around 25, 30 people. LULAC is the organizer for the parade, and I would ask for a motion to approve the parade request, at least as a starting point. Motion by Alderwoman Frank, thank you. Second by Alderman Stevens, thank you both. Any questions, any comments regarding the information that you have in front of you? I know originally that was requested to be down State Street, and this route is something that customarily that we do for other events as well. Obviously, to shut down State Street can be tough. So anyhow, if there's any questions, Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? Motion passed, thank you. Moving on, item 3, finance and personnel unfinished business, we have none. Item 4, finance and personnel new business, finance department update. Ms. Hanson, good evening.
Thank you, Mayor Morris. Staff continue to devote a great deal of time providing documentation to the auditors as part of their final field work for the FY24 year end. Sickage was on site last week and is on site again this week completing their work. Departments continue to seek out and apply for grants for a variety of citywide projects. We successfully completed and submitted multiple applications since last month, as well as quarterly reports, and currently have 36 grants in various stages ranging from application to near completion. One of the applications we recently submitted will include funds for the remainder of the police department radios. And then on May 15th, the Public Works Department increased its utility payment options for customers. While we continue to work through a few issues with the new system, 1,964 successful online payments have been made since then, and 48 customers have chosen to receive their statements electronically rather by mail. As we continue to educate customers on the various options, numbers should continue to increase over time.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hanson. Any questions for Ms. Hanson regarding any of that or anything else? I do want to thank Ms. Hanson and Mr. Anderson, Public Works Director, for, just because we go ahead and we ask for grants, it doesn't mean that they don't happen. They just require a lot of work, a lot of follow-up. And believe me, I'm not saying anything bad about bureaucracy in the state, but sometimes you'd want to hang yourself. So, other than that, though, it went really swimmingly. But I think that without, Ms. Hanson juggling, like she'd said, 36 grant applications, and certainly anything that involves any of improvements in the street department or public works end of it, as this one, part of this one did, or as well with public safety. It can be a daunting task, so thank you for that. All right, moving on, item B, residential electric aggregation program. Ms. Hanson?
Thank you again. Turning to the memo you have in your packets. Municipal aggregation is a program whereby the city can use bulk purchasing to help provide different options for residents' electric suppliers. The city started its first municipal aggregation program in 2012. For the past 3 years, the city has contracted with MC Squared to supply electricity at ComEd rates, and residents are billed by ComEd. In return, the supplier provides a civic contribution to the city for each month during the term of the agreement. That agreement expires in October. NIMEC worked with multiple suppliers, and once again, MC Squared offered the best civic contribution of $36,000 annually. Residents currently with MC Squared will receive a letter informing them of the renewal. Residents who are not part of the program will not receive a letter. All residents have the option to opt out of the program at any time without penalty or cancellation fee. And non-MC Squared residents can opt into the program but should check with their current supplier prior to making any changes. Recommended motion. Motion to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute a resolution authorizing the mayor's execution of a master supply agreement with MC Squared pursuant to the City of Belvedere Municipal Electric Aggregation Program.
Okay. Motion by Alderman Snow, second by Alderman Stevens. Thank you both. If there's any questions regarding the motion on the floor, feel free. Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed, motion passed. Thank you. And item C, acceptance of grant funds from the Morton Arboretum. Ms. Hanson?
Thank you again. The City of Belvedere applied for and has been awarded a grant in the amount of $76,650 from the Morton Arboretum. Funds will be used to create an inventory of all trees located on public property in the city of Belvedere, provide a canopy assessment to identify potential canopy expansion areas, and to complete a forestry management plan. The grant does not require matching funds from the city. The Illinois Department of Natural Resources and the USDA Forest Service Eastern Region, State, Private, and Tribal Forestry are the funders of this grant. Recommended motion is to accept grant funds from the Morton Arboretum in the amount of $76,650 to be used for the completion of a tree inventory, canopy assessment, and urban forest management plan for all publicly owned property in the city, and to authorize the mayor and finance director to execute any documentation necessary to facilitate the receipt of grant funds.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Alderwoman Frank, thank you. Second by Alderman Stevens, or Alderman Snow, excuse me. Any questions regarding the motion on the floor? Alderman Snow?
So question in regards to the term canopy. Generally speaking, it is nice when you go through somewhere and you've got a canopy of trees over the thing. But on the other hand, we as Public Works kind of don't like trees in the right of way, which is what creates the canopy. So any insight, or you want to leave that for Brent some other time?
Well, it is, I guess, a positive for the community to have a healthy canopy. I also think a part of this grant is to plant 25 trees, so we're actually going to add some, but just for the benefits of the community and all that stuff, I believe it'd be, I guess, a good idea. But
Also, we might recall that we did take some we take trees down as needed, and so go ahead.
yeah, and that's kind of part of it with adding some of these trees is with all the removals we have done is to get some healthy trees and try to also with the management plan is to make sure our canopy is healthy, so we're not dealing with as much dead trees and all that.
Okay. Thank you, Jordan. Any other questions regarding the motion on the floor? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? Motion passed, thank you. And item D, distribution of impact fees. In your packet is a memo dated June 6th of '24 from Budget Director, Finance Director Hanson. Ms. Hanson?
Thank you. As you know, the city has an impact fee ordinance in place under which it collects cash in lieu of land for the Park District, School District, and Conservation District, among others. This ordinance requires each benefiting government to enter into a standard form agreement regarding the receipt of developer subdivision contributions. The Belvedere School District has submitted a formal request and an executed agreement. Included in the agreement is language stating on or before May 1st of each year, every benefiting government that receives payments from the city under the agreement shall submit a report to the city describing the manner in which the payments have been used. As the school district is seeking a distribution, we recommend execution of the agreement and will request the required report. Approval of the payment itself will be considered by council as part of payables. Recommended motion is to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement regarding the receipt of developer subdivision contributions with Belvedere Community Unit School District 100.
Okay, thank you. If I could get a motion to that effect. Motion by Alderman Albertini, second by Alderman Stevens, thank you. And as a little bit of a background, the city of Belvedere under Mayor Peterson back in 1995 had first brought impact fees to the forefront, and many of the other communities that experienced runaway growth had already passed impact fees for good reason. Here at that time, we were going to be, school district was considering bringing in trailers to be able to teach students out of trailers. Those were before some of those schools were built. And after that, the initial impact fee ordinance, which mirrored some of the other growth corridor communities, Crystal Lake, Naperville, along the growth corridor, Mayor Brereton had also reinforced impact fees. And at first, impact fees that were passed in this community were, the benefactor was a school district only. And then after that, they were expanded with the thought, which I agree with, that whenever individuals come into the community and they market their homes, or they sell their homes, they don't live here. A lot of them don't live here. And after they're gone, if they don't pay anything for the burden that their growth creates, then our taxpayers foot the bill for that. And so that's a little bit of the background. I will say that a few years ago, the school district was put into what I'd call a precarious position. It was exactly about 3.5 years ago, I guess, because I had come to the council to speak on behalf of, maybe I was the only individual at that time who had been involved in local government when impact fees became a point of discussion, and when they were passed. And I found out that they were going to do away with impact fees, which, again, I thought was an abuse to every taxpayer that had already contributed in this community to make education a great priority here in the community, and then have individuals from outside the community come in and market a development without paying and contributing. And when they moved, or when they left here, they had no marriage to the community. There was no relationship with the community. And then we had to wrestle with, how do we provide 68% of our property taxes goes towards education. Obviously, public safety calls for service and what have you. So I want to thank Mayor Peterson and Mayor Brereton for their decision-making regarding impact fees. And this will free up the amount of money that the city of Belvedere has collected for the school district, so that residents, whatever improvements they decide to make, taxpayers here aren't footing the only bill. So a little bit of a synopsis. Any questions? I'd be more than happy to try and answer them. Alderwoman Freeman?
So this agreement has always been in place? Because as long as I've been here, I've never seen, I guess, an execution of the agreement and, or like a required report.
That's because the agreement actually doesn't have to go to council. It was approved in 2005. When we adopted the subdivision amendments that I drafted to modernize at the time and bring into conformance with applicable law, the impact fee ordinances, I put in place that agreement. The sole purpose of that agreement, well, it's longer than this. The easy way to put it is, if they want the money, if there's ever a lawsuit over the money, they've got to defend us because it's their money. So the sole purpose of that agreement is to have them indemnify the city if a developer ever challenges the fees that they paid. The ordinance that adopted that code in 2005 empowered the ensuing mayors to obtain those agreements and execute them. So it just never really had to come back to council. As far as the reports, again, that's just a means to help us defend an action if it ever happens. I don't know if they're ever filed or not. It's not an end-all, be-all, because the reality is the school district's money, and they can spend it.
Go ahead.
So it's cash collected in lieu of land for Park District, School District, and Conservation District and others. So the school district gets all of it, or
No.
how is that divvied up?
As money is brought in, usually it comes down at building permit time. That's the easiest way to put it. When somebody applies for the building permit, they pay a fee for a school district, they pay a fee for the park district, they pay a fee for the conservation district, they pay a fee for us as well. And then the finance director has basically different pots of money where that money goes and it sits in escrow. So the school district can ask her at any given time, how much money do we have available? She can tell them and they can make a request for it.
Okay, so it's like a mini savings account for each of these that they can.
It's an escrow account, yes. And
And
it's
al-
all in one, but we have line items so we know how much each one has.
Thank you.
Only the municipality or the county can collect on behalf of those taxing bodies. And I chose to bring this here, even though the council may not have seen it in the past. I thought it was relevant for a couple different reasons. Why? First of all, you know that the city has collected an X amount of fees, where they're gonna go. And I think it's transparent. I think the impact fee ordinance works. I think it works to the benefit of the taxpayers here, and in public safety and education and all the things that we'll pay for otherwise. So, yeah, that, I wouldn't have probably had to bring it here, but since they asked for a disbursement, then I felt council should see it. So, thank you. Alderman Fleury.
Thank you. Excuse me. I was reading through the back page, kind of how the money was distributed, but is there an actual dollar amount that they're requesting?
They're actually requesting everything we are holding for them.
Right, was that amount listed in here? I was slightly confused with all the numbers, just.
Yeah, I don't have the exact figure. Like I said, you'll see it as part of July payables because a check request will be in there. I know it's slightly over 500,000. I know in the time I've been with the city, they've not made a request for those funds, so I don't know how long those funds have been sitting there, but it is just over 500,000.
Okay, thank you.
And also, this came up a little bit in discussion whenever Perry School was being chatted about whether or not they were going to use money to fund Perry School, some of the improvements that they claimed, that they stated that was going to have to be made to keep that school open. And I thought that was also as well, that was something the council should be aware of, and something that they should be aware of, that when they ask for this funding without us, without the city going ahead and taking care of what I call quality of life issues for the taxpayers, for the community, nobody else is going to do it. So they will have a disbursement regarding their request. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? Motion passed, thank you. Item 5, under other, we have item A, that being an ordinance adding certain territory to Ward 1 of the city of Belvedere. And in your packet is what will be in ordinance form, the property that was annexed to the city of Belvedere, commonly known as Kelly Farms Annexation, and Midwest Refrigerated Services. Is that correct?
That is.
And those will come back to you later, but I guess city attorney may have a comment regarding that. Do you want a motion to that effect, or?
We'll need a motion to that effect.
Okay. If I could have a motion to that effect, motion by Alderman McGee, second by Alderman Albertini. Thank you both. And that is for the purposes of annexing territory that the city will have to place somewhere. It'll be the part of a ward, and in this case, Ward 1. Is there any questions or comments regarding the motion on the floor? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
If there's any opposed, motion passed, thank you. That's all we have this evening on our agenda, so if I could have a motion to adjourn, please. Motion by Alderwoman Frank, thank you. Second by Alderman Albertini, thank you both. All those in favor, say aye. Anybody want to stay? All right. For the record, thank you, everybody. We adjourned at 6:40 p.m. Have a good evening, what's left of it. Thank you.